Hey, what's up, guys? Mike here, back with another video. Just wanted to touch base with you guys this week. Today is a Thursday. It's 11:30 right now. Just wanted to check in. The week hasn't been too busy, I guess. I took a little vacation Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so I didn't work. I'm back on it now. Today's Thursday. I have a full day today. I had parts that were that had came in for jobs that needed them, so finishing those up. Have 2 new jobs today, and I have about 4 new ones tomorrow. So it's been good this summer so far. Can't complain. You gotta maintain though. You gotta be smart with your money. How to budget and balance things, and know how to save and put money up so you can enjoy life. So you work hard, enjoy life. I wanted to make a video. One of my subscribers asked me about how do I deal with, I guess, going to people's homes with pets. And if you don't like animals, man, it's gonna be hard for you. I mean, especially in my area, Palm Beach County, I want to say 90% of the job I go to has dogs. I mean, last house I just came from was a wall oven, a GE wall oven. I installed the control board. Wasn't baking or broiling. Dogs. You know, every house I seem to go to has animals in it. I mean, you might get, every day at least I get a house with animals in it. So, every single day. So how I deal with that, I love animals, so I don't have a problem with them. I've been doing this, it's gonna be 14 years, and I've never had one problem with any animal, ever. I can't even think of a bad, like a bad story to tell or anything like that. I've never had, usually I get stuff like, oh man, he doesn't act like that around people usually. I don't know. I feel like animals can sense people. They have a sense, and then I have dogs myself, so, you know, maybe that's the reason too. But I was always taught you don't show any fear. A lot of times too with dogs, or say just cats, don't really mess with you that much. I've had some cats that try to come in my bag and play with stuff, but they're harmless. We're just really talking about dogs. I mean, I don't know what other animals you might encounter, but you know, those are the usual. So dog, I mean, and I will say, I've been into houses where they have a lot of animals, not just dogs. There'll be cats, dogs, parrots. I mean, I don't know how those people can keep up with it, because usually when I go into houses like that, it's a mess for the most part, where there's a whole bunch of, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're a technician and you've been doing this for a long time, you've been in the typical house where, or I would say from TMM videos, there's a hoarder, there's people that just do things where there'll be a whole bunch of stuff stacked up in there, and they'll have a whole bunch of animals. And I'm like, I don't know how they can keep a place clean, you know, thoroughly, when you have stuff stacked up to the place, and then animals just all, I mean, some people have like 6 to 10 cats, you know, in one place, and it just smells like cat, like strong urine, you know. But yeah, I've never had a problem with animals. Now, what I want to touch on is roaches and bugs of any type of sort. We're in Florida, so you see a lot of lizards, you see a lot of the bigger roaches, what they call palmettos. They're like water bugs, you know. When I came, me coming from up north, Philly, New York area, and like seeing them, I thought they were big roaches, but obviously they call them something else. To me, they still big roaches, but whatever. Those things, you're not gonna see many of those clustered together unless it's just, I might see, if I'm pulling out and look under a dishwasher or behind a stove, I might see 1 or 2, but we're talking about roaches. And roaches, have I done jobs with roaches? Several times. Now, don't get me wrong, even though I come from an area that's not considered to be the best, I've had my few shares of encounters with roaches. I don't think anybody, there's a person out here that likes them, but you know, I'll only work on them to a certain extent. I mean, units that, and I don't want to say they have roaches, but if there were roaches around, you knew they were there, because you can see the remnants of them living there and all that. And usually if you see a bad control board or something like that, they like to harbor around the warm parts of the unit, you know, wherever it's warm. So I've seen plenty control boards go bad because of roaches. I've seen refrigerators that have stopped cooling, then cooled back, and they've had roaches in them. I've worked on some of them like that. I mean, there's a certain amount. Some people don't work them at all. I mean, if it's infested, I'm not working on it either. You know, because if it's infested, that means usually the house, I'll put my bag down, they're going to be crawling up in it. I mean, there's been times where I've worked in certain areas, you know, you want to say the hood or whatever the case may be, where I've worked, and I've came across those things. You want to get to a certain point where you can pick and choose where you work. I don't really work in those areas that much. I used to have a property manager who had a lot of properties in those type of areas, and I kind of stopped doing work for them because they tend to not really care that much. They want to patch work too, and you know, they don't want things fixed properly, and which is, you know, if you've been in the business for a long time, I've done it. You know, have done, but people paying money out their pocket, you don't do that with those kind of things too. I try to not do those things with landlord, because at the same time, the people that are renting will look at you a certain type of way. So I try to not do that. It all depends though, because some people don't really care. They really, really don't care, and they're really not gonna. They have appliance go bad, they're not gonna call for service. They'll just try to use it like that or not. You know, it's a certain type of customer we're trying to look for. So you know what I'm trying to say. I've known people that I've gone to their house and their microwave ain't been working for a long time, or they stove 3 eyes don't work, and they fine with that. So we're not talking about that. But the people that, like I said, certain places where you go, you got to be able to, you know, be comfortable where you're working. And that's the main thing. Like I said, I have done jobs with, you know, roaches around, but 1 or 2, if I'll be fine, you know, because at the same time, you still got to operate out here. And 1 or 2 roaches is not going to stop me from finishing that call. You know, that's just how I remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I actually posted a picture in my Instagram as well. It was a Whirlpool range, the switch, the front left switch, which is a dual burner switch, basically went out. It looked toasted. But the initial was that it was working. It was a dual switch, the inner burner was working, and the left rear burner was not working. So pretty much, it didn't need any parts. It's just that it had some roaches in there. It looks like the wires somebody else's worked on it and didn't, you know, cut the wires back, and they didn't put the proper wiring nuts on there. They put plastic, and usually for stoves, I like to put ceramic ones, but you know, not the biggest deal. You know, it's not like it's around the element. So, but yeah, they didn't do it properly, so it ended up breaking, and pretty much that one dual switch would send power to the rear switch. So once I patched that up, put it all together, everything was working fine. The dual switch, the outer and the inner, was working fine. But that goes to show, you know, I mean, critters can pretty much damage your whole appliance if you don't, you know, watch out for those type of things. But like I said, there's only been one time where I had a situation where I had to walk out, and that was on a stove. It was I can never forget. It was a Frigidaire stove, and I walked in the house, and I can already tell it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. But you know, you never know. I get to the kitchen, get to the stove, and oh man, like I opened the door of the stove, and on the grates were roaches hanging off. I'm like, oh hell no, I can't do this. I'm like, ma'am, this is just too infested. I can't work on it. That was that, and I had to leave because that was ridiculous. I mean, usually you open things, that's just the oven door. But you open the oven door and you're seeing them, I mean, they're going to be all up running through it. I'm like, nah. There was another situation where the fridge, it was a refrigerator, it was a cooling issue, a defrost. And I saw, you know, where there were roaches in there, but, you know, it was 2 old ladies. I couldn't leave them like that. and it wasn't as bad, because when you have a freezer, it looked like it stopped cooling another time, and then behind there was just a whole bunch of, there weren't any active roaches in it, but you can tell they were living in there. So kind of don't want to touch those things sometimes, but that's how it is. But like I said, your own discretion. You're gonna run into it depending on the areas you work in. I mean, I've had nice houses I worked in, and I saw, you know, roaches. So I mean, nice houses on the outside. The inside is a completely different thing, and you know, it is what it is. But I'm gonna finish it up this week. I thought the video stopped, so sorry about that. And I'll get back with you guys. I want to thank everybody that's been watching, asking questions, and one of these days I think I'm gonna go how I actually do billing, but my billing is different because I do it by the job. You know, some jobs are different than others. You know, a fridge not cooling might take more time or be more than, say, a dryer not heating. And then it depends on the dryer, because I can't say I'm gonna make 150, 125 or 150 per job every call. It doesn't work like that. You have to make certain, you know, judgments. If you see a dryer that's 20 years old, and you know the customer can go out and get it for another one for $300-400 bucks or whatever the case may be, you know, if it just needs a thermal fuse, I'm not going to charge them 150, you know, service call and labor to change that part. I'm not going to do it, and that's just me ethically. I'm not going to charge any less than 100, but I'm not going to charge them 150. You know, I'm not going to do that. So certain jobs I make, it's just not for every job the same. You know, it's per call. Whatever the call is what I do, you know. So, and then it depends on the model. If it's a front loader style dryer that needs more work taken apart, then yeah, it might be 125 to 150. But if it's an older one, and depending on how accessible it is, it might not be that much. So that was just geared toward the last question somebody asked me to one of my other videos, how much I charge for a job that I showed you guys I diagnosed. It was the fridge one, and I don't know if that was a warranty company claim. So warranty company claims I charge higher rates than what I would charge a customer. You know, simple. I mean, if you guys didn't want to hear that, that's what I mean, I do that. That's what I do, you know, and that's why I rather help the people than help the warranty companies at the end of the day. So, but anyway, just want to check in, and that's pretty much it. So I'll catch you guys up next week.